when we started thinking about the product mix and what we were going to do, as I mentioned, we thought the packaging was going to be absolutely critical because it was all a part of the experience, so we wanted the kind of packaging that people would want to keep once the biscuits were gone. And we also wanted to have a range of different price points. So we sourced really good quality square-edge tins, which actually are remarkably difficult to source and took quite a long time. And we also decided that we wanted a sort of lower price point item, which was this concept that we came up with of the biscuit card, which is really, to all intents and purposes, like a greeting card. So it tends to have 1 or 2 biscuits in it. Both ways. We knew also that the other thing was really going to be important was the design of the biscuits, because we wanted our biscuits to have a very distinctive and consistent look, so that ideally our biscuits would be instantly recognisable if you saw them. We also then started by thinking, well, what are the main gifting occasions? And they're all the obvious ones, like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and Easter and Christmas. And then there are also everybody's own occasions, which are just as important to us. So birthdays, anniversaries, thank yous, sorries, you know, the whole sort of trying to cover the range of different types of gifts. We also, just going back, we're very aware that we can be very, very topical. I've got a slide later I'll show you actually. A good example of that was the royal biscuits we've been doing recently. We always follow trends in the media or in the news and everything else, and that really helps us to keep our biscuits kind of front of mind and in the press and in the news. We have also gradually extended our brand. So these are the Jolly Gingers, and they're really popular. They go out in little Jolly Ginger houses on their own. We've also developed hand-iced chocolates. So what we were looking for was kind of brand extensions that really kept very close to the brand values of Biscuiteers and clearly looked like a Biscuiteers product, but enabled us to keep. We had a lot of very loyal customers, and we were aware of the fact that if they'd been giving biscuits all year, they might now like to give something else. And we also have developed now Biscuiteers cupcakes. Only our cupcakes are designed to go in the post, like everything else, so the buttercream's underneath the icing. Just sort of thinking back to when we started, really, we also started really not knowing really what we were doing. And what was extraordinary about it was really how quickly it took off. I had a background in consumer PR, so I did know how to put on a PR campaign. And so we launched the business with a big national PR campaign, which got a huge amount of pickup in the national press. And we'd launched in, I think it was September, and we were basically camping in my husband's catering kitchens. But he kicked us out by the end of October, and it was that quick. But we were just completely overwhelmed by orders, and also by all the practical problems that we hadn't yet thought of. Things like we hadn't quite worked out how to send the biscuits in the post without them breaking, which was obviously quite fundamental. But we did solve that problem eventually by virtue of sticking the biscuits down with icing in the tins, which sort of secured them. We had to start from scratch with our own production processes and equipment because everything we make is handmade. And it's very unique, but these kind of artisanal businesses carry quite a lot of challenges. Ultimately, in order to have a big manufacturing base, you just need an awful lot of people. So our solution to that is that we recruited artists as ITers. We found out quite quickly that there is a huge artistic community in London and that they have a lot of the kind of skills that we needed to ice biscuits like this. I mean, it's as much about design and artistic skills as it is about cooking. It was quite hard to predict demand, and even now we spend months trying to decide how we're going to meet the challenge of Christmas. Because it's such an overwhelmingly seasonal business that it really is quite hard to just find the sheer numbers of people that we need to deliver it. Our business model is direct. That's what we're really all about, and what we're interested in is about selling directly to customers online. We do have key wholesale accounts. For us, that was a lot about bringing credibility to the brand in the early days. So we started to supply Selfridges within 4 months. And we now also are stocked in places like Harrods, Fortnum Mason, and the Conran Shop, places that we really add to our profile and kind of brand presence in the market. But we were constantly asked about whether we had our own shop and when we're going to launch one. And so in September 2012, we opened our first shop in Notting Hill. For us, this was never just about retail. this shop was designed to be our marketing base, a real opportunity for offline engagement with our customers and ultimately, greater brand awareness. We decided that we would open an icing cafe and a biscuit boutique, probably see. I'm fairly confident we have the only icing cafe, certainly in the UK. Because we were aware of the fact, we sort of published a book about that time, and we became increasingly aware that many of our customers essentially wanted to learn to ice. They wanted to learn to ice like a biscuiteer. So we started to create a range of other products to offer in the shop that would enable us to kind of engage with them on this level. So we now have the Biscuiteers School of Icing. We run lessons for adults twice a week, which take place in the icing classroom in the basement. We have a little Biscuiteers School of Icing, which is, as you'd expect, is classes for children. We run children's icing parties, both in the shop and outside. And we also run private icing events for adults. So that might be a hen night, it might be a corporate event, or just, party. And then we also do quite a lot of brand partnership events in the shop. But ultimately, the root of it is this icing cafe concept, which means that actually you can come into the shop on any day and spontaneously ice a biscuit. So think pottery cafe for the sort of idea. You come in, you ice a biscuit, and we give you everything you need to ice the biscuits, or a Jolly Ginger, in fact. And then we give you a gift box, and then you can put it in the biscuit post, send it to a friend. We're all about gifting, ultimately. But ultimately, the point about the shop is really that it gave us an opportunity to reach more customers and give them different ways to shop with us. So what we're really hoping is obviously that customers who come into the shop will then become multi-channel customers with us and online customers. A few more pictures from the shop. Oh, that's a children's icing party. Not actually in the shop, that one, but still get the general idea. So we send the icers along to teach the children how to ice, and then they leave at the end of it with their own tin of Biscuiteers biscuits that they take home. So there you go.